The biggest military Nazi tank ever made. The German government had a strange desire to develop a wonder weapon that might end the war with a single strike during World War II. This led to a passion for very large tanks that could both destroy enemy equipment with bullets of massive caliber and be impervious to opposing artillery. Welcome back to Military Future. In today's video, we will talk in more detail about the biggest military Nazi tank ever made. By spring of 1942, Hitler had finally concluded that the Blitzkrieg strategy against the Soviet Union was ineffective. Moscow was no longer under assault, and in the vicinity of the Leningrad, the German forces became stuck. The USSR turned out to not be as weak as the German command had claimed. As a result of the outcome of the Soviet-Finnish War in 1940, the conflict intensified and became one that Germany could not possibly win. The Führer desperately looked for a solution to this predicament when he came across Edward F. Grote's concept to build a massive tank that would be invincible to the Russian troops. The proposal delighted Hitler, who gave the order to the Reich Minister of Armaments and War Production Albert Speer to arrange the project's development. Grote's personality is as fascinating as his tank projects. He arrived in the Soviet Union in March 1930 to assist in the construction of Soviet tanks. By the fall of 1931, under his direction, a Bolshevik company in Leningrad built and produced the experimental medium tank TG Tank Grote. Due to the vehicle's high level of complexity, high cost and design flaws, it was never put into serious production. Despite this, Grote maintained his position of authority among the Russians and even enjoyed a cordial relationship with Tukhachevsky, from whom he received a task that, surprisingly, served as the inspiration for the 1,000-ton German Rat. We're talking about a very heavy tank whose combat weight was gradually increasing. The coastal defense tank which Grote created in March of 1933 was the culmination of this process. The drawings were supplied with a letter addressed to Tukhachevsky by the developers. For the mechanization and motorization of the Communist Army, the proposal of a 1,000-ton tank was considered. Given that this was the culmination of the coastal defense mega-tank project, it should be noted that the Russians proved to be more cautious in this situation than the German leadership. Following that, Grote's services were terminated by the Soviet authorities, and he left for Germany. He ultimately caught Albert Speer's eye there and joined his squad. The submarine fleet was the focus of Grote's efforts. The former tank designer held a very high and significant position. Under the direction of the Reich Minister for Armaments and Ammunition, he served as the Special Commissioner for the building of submarines. The practical phase of construction on the future the land cruiser P-1000 Rat began on July 17th of 1942. Erich Müller, also known as Müller Gun, received a letter from Grote on this date. This individual should not be confused with Heinrich Müller, the Gestapo head who also went by the moniker the Gestapo Müller. The responsibility of creating a super heavy tracked war vehicle with the weight of several hundred tons was given to Grote directly by the Führer through Reich Minister Speer, according to Grote's account in the letter. Since then, Grote has closely followed up with Krupp's direction. His team developed multiple iterations of the super tank before settling in on the following dimensions. The length of 115 feet, a width of 46 feet, a height of 36 feet. The P-1000 was to be equipped with tracks that were 11.5 feet wide, comparable to quarry excavators. This extremely heavy tank came in 3, 5, 7 and 9 turret modules. As envisioned by the designers, the engines, cooling systems and fuel tanks were partially at the front and aft of the ship, with the control compartment in the bow, and the fighting compartment in the centre. A minimum of 40 crew members were expected to be present in the Rat tank. There were armoured doors in the tank's main turret that the crewmen could use to board and exit the vehicle. In anti-aircraft and artillery towers, there were also hatches for evacuation. As for the Rat's tank armour, it was built on the premise of complete defence against the ammunition used by the forces of the USSR, England and America. The hull's construction included both partially welded and partially bolted and riveted connections. The Rat tank's armour was predicted to have a maximum thickness of 400mm. An occurrence that happened at the start of 1942 had an impact on the supertank's arsenal. British bombers attacked the battleship Gneisenau, which was undergoing repairs and keel replacement, on the night of February 26th through 27th in 1942. The Kiel shipyard was hit by bombs weighing 1,000 pounds. One of them landed just in front of the gun turret on the battleship of the Gneisenau's top deck. 112 people were killed and 21 were wounded in this blast, and the tower itself was hurled up half a meter and the roof completely blown off. Its armour belt and hull both sustained heavy damage. We'd like to take a quick moment to please ask you to like and subscribe to our channel if you appreciated this video and want to see more like it. Now, let's get back to the wonder weapon. The ship was out of the Kriegsmarine for 2 years, and the committee that looked at the ship reported that the bomb put a stop to the Gneisenau's career in warfare. The battleship's weaponry, notably its gun turrets, were originally intended to be employed against coastal fortifications, but a concept to outfit one of the turrets with a super heavy tank surfaced later. On this, the creators based the Rat's weaponry design. It had two Schiffskanone C-28 naval guns with a caliber of 280mm. With a barrel length of around 15 meters, each cannon weighed 48.2 tons. The armor-piercing projectile weighed 330 kilograms and had an 8.1 kilogram charge inside. The firing system also included two Mauser MG151 15 heavy machine guns, in addition to 8 20mm flak 38 anti-aircraft weapons as secondary weaponry. It was feasible to repel a whole squadron of bombers by paying attention to the number of anti-aircraft weapons. The Germans realised that an airborne bomb was the only way to take down the iron monster they were building. Hitler's enthusiasm for the land cruiser P-1000 Rat concept waned in 1943, following severe setbacks at the hands of the Red Army at Stalingrad. As soon as Speer realised this, he closed it down. The wisest member of the German leadership, the Reich Minister for Armaments and War Production, fully appreciated the risk posed by the expansion initiative for Germany. General Heinz Wilhelm Guderian, known as Fast Heinz and Heinz the Hurricane for his lightning-quick tank attacks that penetrated the enemy's fortifications to the depths, did help Speer. Fast Heinz was fully aware that the 100-ton Rat project was illogical. What sort of roads will be used by this monster? Not even the weight is relevant. The intention was used to achieve acceptable ground pressure with tracks 11.5 feet wide. Size is the issue. Not all roads, in particular in the USSR, had a width of more than 46 feet, so this tank's breadth was wider. How would it traverse rivers if no bridge could support its weight? How would it manage its fuel consumption given that its potent engines would use at least 2 tons of fuel every 100 kilometers? And how would it be repaired in the field? As a result, the German battle tank general, who used his rollers, as he termed his tanks, to decimate a large number of foes, was vehemently opposed to this initiative. Due to this, the P-1000 Rat project was abandoned, and we can only lament that all of these iron monsters and miraculous weapons were not made of metal. Tiger and Panther German tanks, which are extremely lethal, would not have been created in this situation. And that concludes today's video. As you can see, attempts to create a wonder weapon occasionally backfire on the creator, which would have meant World War II would have finished sooner. Do let us know your thoughts on this giant tank in the comment section below, and thank you again for joining us. Until next time.